Good afternoon folks, Toad here with Visordown.com and welcome to Northamptonshire, where we're at the Silverstone circuit with Ducati UK testing out some of their latest models, and today I have been focusing on this bike right here, which is the 2023 Ducati Diavel V4. So this isn't the first time that I've ridden the V4. I actually had one as a loaner for a couple of weeks, literally a couple of weeks ago. So I didn't put my review out, didn't do any filming or shooting because I knew I'd be coming along today and I'd be getting another go on it where I'd get a chance to get some more experience of the bike and also get some footage and some photos. So we have had an absolute blast today. It feels like spring has finally sprung. The grey clouds have disappeared, the sun has shone, and it has been the perfect day to go out on a bike like this. So what is it? Well, this is Ducati's new 23,595 pound Uber Cruiser, I think I'm going to call it, Hyper Cruiser, whatever you want to call it. It is bonkers. So it is 168 bhp that is locked within the casings of that new GRANTURISMO V4 engine that's fitted to it, and it weighs in at 234 kilograms, which I think is the dry weight. So add 12 to 13 kilograms onto that for the all up wet number. And it's not just the new engine, this bike has been built around the engine. It's kind of cocooned in the middle there, but all the bodywork is new, all the electronics are new, the swing arm, the frame, everything about this bike is absolutely brand new. It's lost the trellis frame that the old Diavel had, the 1260S version of the Ducati Diavel, and it's gone for a similar sort of setup to you find on other bikes like the Monster S and the Panigale, where it's got this kind of front frame design going on. What have I thought to it? Well, I've spent a good, probably getting on for 200, just over 200 miles on when I had it as a loaner, and we've done a little bit more today, but it has been quite short runs just out to the photo stop and then back again. But I had the previous generation Ducati Diavel as a kind of like a mid-term test bike. So I had it for about 2 or 3 months, and that was about 4 or 5 years ago now. Compared to that bike, the V4 is much more ferocious. It's more playful on the throttle, the suspension feels better, it's lighter, it's more nimble, and overall it just feels like a much more well-rounded package than the previous 1260 model. It turns faster than the previous one, and that's not to say that this is going to be rivaling any Monster SP or any of the traditional naked bikes in any way, shape or form, but it is much more nimble, and it's so surprising that Ducati are able to do that when you've got that behemoth of a rear tyre back there. The geometry of it and the size of the tyres, it all kind of looks wrong, and it doesn't look like it's going to go round a corner. You do have to haul it into a corner. It's not the kind of bike that you just point your head at where you want to go and it falls onto its side. This thing takes a little bit of a heave. It's big, it's brutish, and it's very rewarding to ride fast in that kind of manner. So what else have we got? So we've got Brembo brakes, obviously. Ducati always go to Brembo. They're super strong and very, very progressive. They're not too sharp, I don't find. I find them quite nice to use. They're really, really nicely set up for the road. One thing I will say is that the length of the bike, the weight of the bike and the geometry of the bike means that even on perfectly dry roads with decent tarmac, it's very, very easy to overpower the ABS and have the ABS chirping in at the front end when you brake in very hard into corners. You can dial into the dash, you can turn it all down, you can reduce the ABS intervention if you want, just like you can with the traction control, the wheelie control and all the rest of the electronics that the bike has got. But I did find that the ABS was overly intrusive, and we were riding it in sport mode, which should have, I thought it was probably the ABS was just set just a little bit too high for that for most people on most roads. Another change for this year, we've got an updated TFT dash, another change for this year, another change for the 2023 I should say. We've got an updated TFT dash. It's greatly improved on the setup of the previous generation 1260 Diavel. It's still nowhere near as good as the system that you'll find on the new Multistrada V4S, which has got this massive expansive TFT with everything that you can need, all nicely laid out. But it's all there. It's fairly easy to read. I do find that in direct sunlight, because it's a very, very shiny glossed surface with no kind of covering over the top of it, you do get quite a bit of glare in the midday sun, but it's not too bad. You don't really want to be looking at the dash on a bike like this. You want to be looking at where you're going, and that is kind of what I've taken from it. So another change for this model, the riding position to me feels very, very different. The previous generation Diavel, the bars really sort of swept back to meet you. A lot of people actually went and took their Diavels and they went cross-continent touring on them. They put panniers on them and they put luggage on them and top boxes on them and big screens on them, and they used them as kind of like a cruiser cum tourer. Because actually the comfort wasn't bad on the previous one. It was very good. Like I said, the bars were nice and relaxed. You were sat in quite a nice position for a cruiser. It wasn't feet forward, so you could sit there for long periods of time. That's changed. It's not uncomfortable, but the bars are definitely more aggressive. You feel like you sat over the front end of the bike a lot more, and I think Ducati have just done that just to make it a little bit more engaging and a little bit more aggressive. The seat is revised, obviously all new. We've got a new rear subframe on the bike and a new pillion seat, which is stashed underneath this single seat cover. It is still a comfortable seat. There's plenty of padding in there, absolutely fine on that respect. Like the previous generation Diavel though, you hit some hard, some deeper potholes and some bigger bumps, and it will send a bit of a shockwave up your spine. There isn't really much you can do about this. I mean, I think the world is waiting for a Ducati Diavel S model, which has got Trick, Öhlins, electronic suspension and all that sort of stuff, which would alleviate a lot of that problem right out of the box for you. So engine wise, I mean, I can't talk about this bike and not talk about the engine, because it just seems to be all engine. And when it went from the 1260L twin to this new V4 GRANTURISMO unit, it was a big ask, because the engine and the character of the engine in the Diavel was so much what the bike was. I was a big fan of it. I loved that 1260S, I loved it in the previous generation Multistrada, and I loved it in the previous generation Diavel. The thing that I will say about this engine is Ducati put a lot of work into trying to mimic the delivery of a V-twin. So it's got this kind of special trick architecture where the two pistons will fire almost simultaneously, and it gives it almost like a big bang sort of dynamic to it. It does a really good job, because at the low end you've got this grunty sort of like gutsy delivery that really tries to lift the front end of the bike when you crank on the throttle hard, and then all the way through the mid-range the bike barely stops. It just rushes through the mid-range, and then you're into the proper V4 sort of dynamic of the engine, where it shrieks its way up to the red line again, like any of the other V4 models that Ducati. So I mean, I mentioned at the start of the video that we've got like 168 horsepower or something. I can tell you how much torque it's got, but really it's not an issue. You are never going to feel like you're running out of torque. This engine is so rich with it. It is just unbelievable. Riding on the road, it almost feels like the Street Fighter that you want to ride on the road. The Street Fighter V4 for me is too fast for the road in pretty much all of the modes apart from rain mode. And this, you've got all of that V4 delivery, you've got that lovely soundtrack from those 4 exhaust pipes that exit just below your right ear down there, but it's a lot more usable and a lot more playful, because the torque and the way the delivery is set up is much more user-friendly on the road. We've got a 6-speed gearbox hooked up to a quick shifter, like all the other modern Ducati gearboxes of this generation anyway. It's very slick, very precise, and you can find neutral, and the quick shifter works an absolute treat. So there we go, folks. That is my review of Ducati's Diavel V4, the 2023 edition. It's been a pleasure riding it over here at Silverstone today. That's my work done for the day. If you have liked that review, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe so that you can stay up to date with Visordown's latest videos. And for all the latest news, reviews, motorcycle features, get yourself over to Visordown.com. Thank you, folks.